Good morning. So it's a gray day today, unfortunately, but I think it's going to be kind of lightly raining on and off all day. It's a little windy, but nothing too bad as of yet. And I'm going to try and do most of the loop of this island. This island is kind of like a figure eight, but the top part is like very, very tiny. So there's this big kind of bottom loop, and then it kind of comes together. Then there's this littler loop. So I'm gonna do the big loop today. We'll see if I want to do the littler loop or not, see how wet I get. There's a couple of random little places to stop at along the way. There's like a winery, who knew? Question mark. There's a gin distillery. There's a couple of little shops. Apparently this walk is a little wild. You walk across an airport strip. So we'll see what that's like. Yeah, so it's not supposed to be a ton of elevation. I kind of don't know how to kind of mentally prepare myself for what this is because it's so much less like, if I just decide I'm done, I can just walk home. So we'll see, but hopefully it doesn't downpour. I just walked through some very wet foliage. So here's to hoping the rest of this path is not like that. If so, I might be fording my own path. What's interesting is that this this island doesn't seem to like open until somewhere between 9 and 10. Like everything is somewhere between 9 and 10. And then everything closes at like 5. And that's the hours. And some were like, you know, one weekend day and all weekdays are like, you know, maybe they take off Sunday and Wednesday or something, or, you know, Wednesday or Saturday. It's just kind of fascinating because it's like kind of a tourist schedule, but at the same time not. Just imagine if it were bright blue sun, that water would be like turquoise. This would be a lovely place to eat, but not on a day like this. So I've been trying to put my finger on what this place reminds me of, and it's not quite as like polished and built up as Isle of Man was, and it's not quite as like rugged as some of the islands off of Ireland I've been to, but it probably reminds me more of like, I don't know, like probably Inishmore off of Ireland, which is one of the more visited islands. It's one of the Aran Islands, and it's the easiest one to get to and the most built up. And if I had to pick, I would say it probably reminds me most of that, only it certainly has a little bit more infrastructure. Maybe a little bit like Torrey, but no, because Torrey's so much smaller and there's like no cars. So I don't know. The car thing is interesting. My host was saying to me yesterday that there's more cars in this island than there should be, and they wouldn't have enough room on all the roads if everybody took out their cars at the same time. And I kind of believe that now. Like, there's a lot of cars in this island, which is wild because it's so expensive to bring a car here, apparently. But I don't know. I like it so far. I just wish the weather was nicer. And over there are some of the other islands. This one I think is one of the uninhabited ones. And then this over there is the bottom part of Tresco, I think. And then if you look this direction in the distance in the like fog, I think that's St. Agnes. So I was planning to go to both of those islands, but if the weather keeps doing this, I may give St. Agnes a skip. As you can see, it's a little bit like into the deeper water, which means the tide getting there is going to be a little rougher, but it's supposed to have some really cool like cliffs and like rocks and stuff. But Tresco is known for its like botanical gardens, which I honestly don't care very much about. But there's also like a loop walk just like this one. It's probably one of the more built up ones, and then behind it is, what's it called, Air maybe? I forget how to pronounce it, but I'll go to probably one of the two of those. I'm not sure. The tourist office people said go to Tresco, but then the two women I was talking to last night said go to the other one. So I don't know. And then on this side, like over here, is St. Martin, which is the one that I almost stayed on. So I want to go to there. Apparently I just walked into a golf course. There was a sign that said right there, it was like, be careful, golf course, players teeing off to the right. Also, I'm in foliage, so for the first time ever, I put on all of my waterproofy stuff in my backpack. So far we're doing okay, but I hate the ferns. I hate the ferns, that's all I have to say. My rain gear makes me feel like I'm wearing one of those like one-piece bodysuits that little kids wear when they go play on the like puddles and stuff, you know? They're like completely waterproof and you zip them up. That's what it feels like. But it's kind of magic to be able to walk through like all the wet stuff and not get wet, making me so much happier. And also, it's beautiful here. Like, even if it's raining, so what? I mean, do I wish that my accommodation had like a chair in front of the window to like do this? Yes, I do. But I was not going to pay that money to make that happen. So I'm happy with what I have. It's lovely. It has skylights. And then I can come out on the coast and look at this. And it's gorgeous. So far thrilled about my choices. And even though I've only been here for like not even 24 hours, I'm already like, when could I come back? So, I'm gonna have to deal with that crossing though. That's gonna be I'm already not looking forward to Tuesday going back. And, so, there's that. Hello, cows. I will not be sharing a path with you though, apparently. And this type of overgrowth is why I put on all of my waterproofs. We're gonna take a little detour. So this is what they think the original village would have looked like around 300 BCE. They think people moved to the mainland because the weather conditions out here weren't very good, like there's too much blowing sand and stuff. And this is what remains. You can see there's a couple of roundhouse figures, and that's like a terraced wall. And then up the hill more, I'll go take a look. This thing says that in around 200 CE, they built kind of a larger settlement, or a courtyard house. And then and then people probably lived here until 600 or 700 CE. And then in the 19th century, so the 1800s, a lot of the stone was moved to Hewtown, which is where I'm staying over that hill, to build a new pier. You can totally see the little like entrance from the inner home. That's cool. Here's a better overview map of what we're looking at. And then here's the remains. So there's the courtyard house, and then down there, that's the terrace house. And I think over here was a hut, and then over there was another structure. And then they think up this hill, up there, some burial cairns. So really would be I aspire to be like these classy ladies, standing in my cute clothes with colorful raincoats on a little vacation, not a care in the world. So here's an overview of what we're looking at. And there's the cairn chamber, our burial chamber. It's really, really well preserved apparently. And apparently it's super, like it predates the rest of the village down there by like thousands of years. And it doesn't seem like the villagers used it, but definitely like respected it and didn't touch it. So I wonder if they knew what it was for. You know, the more that I look at it, like either there's rain there and it's just hovering over those other islands, or it's fog, because this kind of looks like what it looked like that last day when I was hiking, and it just like was this perpetual like gray mist. I don't know. And as I said that about the fog, it started misting. Never mind. Retract everything I just said. Check out this pine tree. Like, those are definitely pine cones. But it's like covered in this moss. So it barely looks like a pine tree anymore. Wow. Okay, now we can finally see St. Martin over there. And then still Tresco. See a little building right there. Huh. And you can't see St. Agnes anymore, but those are some of the uninhabited ones. And then behind there is that bear, whatever. So we're 10 degrees sunnier, or 10 degrees warmer and sunny. I'd be totally down for chilling on that beach. I mean, even with the sky as dark as it is, look how blue that water is. Okay, I'm not sure what that boat is, but that is what I pictured when I pictured a ferry. That is not the boat I came over in. What is the ferry doing? It looks like it's just chilling. Huh. Here's another one of those burial chambers. Apparently it was found in like the 1950s. And there's a lot of like dirt and debris in it, and somebody dug it out and probably took whatever was in there. But they did find some pottery, which they say dates back a few thousand years. They said the landscape would have looked very differently at this time. So instead of all this forest land, it probably would have been more sandy and like beachy. And that the tides or the water level would have been lower. So they think that these islands would have been tidal islands, meaning that like at low tide, like you can see right here, like it probably touched that other island over there. So people could walk across, and then when this tide came in, they would become separate islands. But as the sea levels rose and the landscape changed, they became their own separate islands. I don't know anything about this name, but what's interesting is that in Ireland, Innis means island. So I wonder if there's any connection there. So apparently there are 2 burial chambers in this area. I was just at that one, and we're just about to walk to this one, the upper one, which looks much bigger and more preserved according to this picture. So this is the probably best preserved burial chamber that they found, but it's now by no means the only one. You can see here's a map of all the islands, and here we are in St. Mary. We're actually probably right up there. And all the red dots are different burial chambers. Technically, they didn't necessarily bury a bunch of people. I was wrong when I said that earlier. But they might have been used for some sort of ancient religious rituals or things like that. They said that they didn't find any like bones or anything in this one, but that the walls, there's been like evidence that they used to be like plastered or maybe decorated, so that maybe they were using it as like a shrine or something like that. And then this is the view. I'm sort of entranced. Now, that's definitely a bigger ship than I went on. Like, you can see the little lifeboats are like built into the side there. Ours were just like on the deck with us. And now there's this boat that's chugging out. It seems like it has passengers on it. So I don't know if it's just like a separate sightseeing boat, but like this ferry's been there for a while, and it looks like there's like doors towards the bottom open. Like, is it too shallow for that ferry to come in, and so this little boat has to go get people? I may need to watch this unfold. While I wait to see this boat adventure unfold, I'm struck by just how many ferns are on this island. Like, I don't know, I guess I didn't expect this. There's just a lot of foliage. And like, yay, helping with erosion, but also like, get out my view. / don't touch me. Okay, update. The little red boat definitely went to the ferry, but it's kind of like at a weird angle, so I can't really see what they're doing now. Okay, the boats are shifted at this point where I cannot see what's going on anymore, but I'm hoping some local can tell me later. Update. The red boat has gone to the other side now. What shall occur? I just noticed there looks like a, oh, you can't see it now, it's behind that rock. But there's a blue boat coming that looks very similar to the red boat. What's the red boat doing See? Blue boat. Red boat looks like it's going back in. Doesn't look any more full. Actually, it kind of looks emptier. Are they dropping people off? It kind of looks like there's people on that blue boat. Huh. This is Watermill Cove. I don't see any watermills. Maybe there used to be one? Check out this plant. The leaves are like this on one side and they're like stark white on the other side. That's wild. Saga continues. The red boat returns once more and the blue boat leaves. They have to be ferrying people or something over there. Ooh, there's a new boat, slightly larger boat, that's now coming out that looks also packed full of people headed for the ferry. It's gotta be one of these things where like maybe they pulled a bigger ferry to do the crossing because the water is like rough, but it's too big to like navigate this without getting stuck. It's the only thing I can think of. This is Palestray Beach. I bet that's a tidal island. You can see when the water level would come up for like there. That'd be an island. That's cool. There's so many shells here, and also actually a ton of sea glass. It's mostly clear sea glass too. There's a couple little spots of other colors, but not a lot. This is also more of that like really fine gritty sand, or like really coarse gritty sand, I should say. It's a lovely beach. See, this is a tidal island, so when the water level comes up to here, all this will be underwater and it'll be an island. But now, when the tide is down and it's much lower, you can walk over there. This is interesting. The sand gets much more like it's just little pebbles over here. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. So the tidal island looks very much like the rest of the coast. And then all of a sudden, this must be where all the wind comes and the ferns can't grow. Very cool. Not sure what that is, but it definitely looks intentional. Apparently this little island is called Tolls Island. Made it to the end of the island. It looks like there's a separate little, ooh, excuse me, a separate little tidal island here. Like I'm sure that gets covered in the high tide. There's the ferry. Still don't know what's happening. And in that direction, just beyond the horizon, there's Cornwall. I keep passing all these children. They're maybe like somewhere between 10 and 12. I think it's a school visit. I wonder if that's where they're staying. It looks like a whole camping setup. Well, apparently I timed my visit maybe 3 minutes too late because I definitely had to walk through that. My feet are a little wet now. But yes, tidal island. Also learned that these shoes are not as waterproof as they claim they are. They are waterproof around here, but not here, and not on the tongue. And that's why my feet are all wet right now. Unfortunate. When you try to grow cucumbers and then too many cucumbers come. Well, the information on their website said something very different. I really just wanted a tasting and that was it. So, cool. Well, there's a winery on this island and I was intrigued. So I was gonna go and I looked at their website and it said like, we don't do normal tours. Like, there's very few of us here running this business. You can do a self-guided tour for £6 and we'll like set you up with everything and you can go walk around the vineyards, or you can do a, just a tasting for £6. And I was like, great, I don't need a tour of the vineyards. I'll do the tasting. So I come and when you actually get there, it says they only do guided tours and like guided tasting experiences, and they're like £10 for the tour and then £20 for the tasting experience. And they're like, the tasting experience is like an hour and a half with the tour, and it's a whole thing. And like, if that was your day and it was nice out and you were into wine and you didn't know much about wine, or you were super intrigued by theirs, like, cool, sounds great. But that was not what the website promised me. I've decided to take the money I would have spent at the winery and go to this cafe and tea garden instead for lunch. Did I just pay £15 for this soup and bread? Yes, I did. I have no regrets. This is vacation. Also, this is adorable. It would be better if it wasn't like misty raining on me, but you know, what ifs. That looks amazing. Amazing. This takes me back to studying abroad in Ireland. I ate this for lunch so many times when we would be traveling around the country. Not the chocolate cake, I never splurged on that, but you know, no regrets. Well, that was fun. They were very lovely people, but the food was mediocre. Like, I was really hoping it was gonna be like homemade. Like, none of it was homemade. Like, the soup you could tell used to be frozen, or at least the vegetables in it used to be frozen. And the cake, it just had a weird consistency. I almost wonder if it was gluten-free and I didn't realize that. But it wasn't very sweet either. And if I'm gonna have a chocolate cake, I want it to be sweet. So, I don't know. In other news, the ferry is still chilling there, but it's now turned the other direction. Who knows what that means? There goes the ferry. Looks like it's headed back to the mainland. So I guess their little relay system worked. Oh, there's even a little boat following them. Fascinating. And there's the beach I was on earlier. You can see that's where the crossing was, and now it's completely a tidal island. I'm not sure if this is one of those burial tombs or if this is a like old little building of some sort, like a house. I feel like it's the former. I think I've found the exposed side of the island. You can tell there's so much glass high, like foliage. You have to look in a little bit for it. And that's probably because that direction is the Cornwall coast. Like, there's nothing, it's just open water. It's probably also why there's not a lot of sand, it's just these rocks. This is my one. This is Porth Hellick. Steepest bay I've seen on this island so far. Looks like the story of little like dogs. There's that one. And then maybe this one. And then they put in this little thing. Progress or something. So many little fishies. It's like everywhere. Wow. Well, it's raining. I'm totally decked out in my rain gear and already kind of wet. I'm taking cover under this tree, which is protecting me quite a bit actually. I found that there's this nature preserve more situation and there's a giant boardwalk on it. Well, I kind of want to take it out, but it's raining. So I'm still heading under this tree. There's the path that I was on. You can see the rain coming down. So fingers crossed it stops soon so I can get out of this little grove and go adventure. Also, this is my current state. So pants doing well, reaffirming that my Mountain Hardwear jacket is not so waterproof anymore. It's water resistant, which is what I thought was not last year, and I did all the things that Mountain Hardwear was like, you can fix it doing these things. It should be waterproof forever. Yeah, it's not waterproof, so I'm gonna have to investigate that after this trip. Okay, the rain is officially turned back into that fine misty stuff. Walking along this boardwalk, there's not much to see. You're just kind of in like the wetlands. There was a bird watching hide, which I've never seen one of those before, but it was kind of creepy. It's like really dark and stuff. So I didn't really want to go in there. And you can see like the little pond where I guess there's birds. But yeah, so I'm still on this boardwalk, and I'm making my way back to the coastal path. And I think I'm gonna keep going. If the rain gets much worse, I might give up and just kind of walk straight back to my place. Whew. Yeah. See, that's a bird hide. And then you close the door and you open these little guys. And you can see out into the water and watch the birds. That's not my jam. So we're gonna go. Found a little bit of rain wind shelter over here. And the view ain't too bad either. So it's not really raining, it's like misting, but the wind is pretty fierce. So I might consider heading back to where I'm staying, because like this is getting kind of gross. I've heard it was supposed to get gross later today and then Saturday, even though my weather app is not saying that. The locals have been saying that, so apparently they know. Well, here's the wild thing that I told you about. So you can cross here, but not when the light's red. This is the airport runway. Danger, do not wander. Yeah, that's the runway. That's the runway. Yep, just crossing. There's the local control tower. Love it, here for it. All that business. And now I'm on the other side of it. I'm a pointer, don't worry, I'm not. Still great. Now I just have to get through that. Okay, I made it to Old Town, which looks very small and a little adorable. There's this lovely little bay here. And if it were nicer out, I'd love to spend some time, but I'm soaked through. Like, my shoes are trying to squish. I'm like wet under this at this point. So instead of doing this last big peninsula here, I think I'm gonna cut through back to my accommodations and just call it a day, or at least call it a hiking day. I might go poke my head into a few stores in town, but you know, that's within 4 blocks of where I'm staying, so it's fine. But yeah, the weather won, at least for now.